Right, so I'm taking my hydraulic jack apart, which actually comes apart fairly easily. There's a cylinder up here, and I've got that out by removing all of these nuts and bolts. Well, actually just nuts. They were all 3/4 inch AF. Just took it apart, and the spring was fun to get off. And I needed a pair of these to get the snap ring off of the one pivot bolt. So not too many tools to take it apart, and I'm going to take it apart now on the bench. There's a couple of little spring things holding these pins in for the pump. This is the pump. It isn't working right now because it's kind of low on fluid. It's been leaking a bit, but that eventually makes the piston go out. So I'll take that off. So I'm going to take this out, which is the lockdown, the operating one. This is where I think most of the fluid's coming out. There's an O-ring in there, and I believe it's the wrong size or something. So this is the valve that came out, and this is the O-ring I think is worn down. I'd love to be able to replace that with one that seals a bit better. When I pushed down on the pump, there was a ball and this plunger that came out too, and there's a dent in it, which is obviously what pushes on the ball. So I'm going to keep those over there, out of the way, nice and clean, and I'm going to drain the fluid out. Right, I'm just having a bit of fun removing this end cap here. I think this whole cylinder comes out as well. So I'll take that apart. It's going to drip oil, so I'm going to go over to my drain. Okay, so this is the piston, and the rubber piece on the end is the seal. And I have actually replaced this once because I got to a situation where it was leaking down, and I was able to find this hydraulic seal from a hydraulic seal company in Phoenix. The reason it starts leaking is because of what they do to the cylinder it runs in, which is the inside of this piece of pipe. And let's see if I can get it to show on the camera. No, I'll have to get a light in there. See those two scratch marks there? Those are put in deliberately. And my belief on how this pump works is that they are the pressure relief that stops you pumping it to a dead stop. So they're at the end of the cylinder, so as it pumps up and the extension goes up and up, the seal edge, which is this edge on the seal here, goes past these scratches on the inside, and then fluid leaks around, and so you can't actually pump it any higher than that. The problem is they left them rough, so those scratches are very rough, and I've had to go in and sand them down because they cut the seal, and once you cut the seal then it leaks all the time. So I've gone in and sanded them down a bit with the new seal before I put the new seal in, and it's been working okay since, but it just leaks out of the old O-rings, which I'm trying to fix. But this is the reason why you need to be very careful with the hydraulic jack. Never trust it. Don't get under a car with a hydraulic jack on, because I bought another jack, and guess what? It has exactly the same features, and I had to replace that seal too because I pumped it to the end of its travel and it cut the seal. So now you know why you can't trust a hydraulic jack for a car. Always use axle stands with it, and use your jack by all means to get it up, but support it before you go under it. So the original reason I was taking this thing apart in the first place was to try and stop a leak around here. I turned the O-ring around on the shaft because I do not have an O-ring, and I can't find one that's the same size, and it's still leaking. So I pump it up, no problem, doesn't leak when it's pumped up. Let it down. Oh, hits the end. Turn it back in tight and wait a few seconds, and the fluid starts pouring out of there. Yeah, and here it comes, start to leak out. So I don't know what that is. It doesn't affect the pumping ability, but it just leaves a big red puddle on the floor. So next time I will just pop it here. This is a rubber cap. Looks like it's letting some air pressure out. And I'll pop that and fill it up from there. Just ignore the O-ring.